Welcome to Build Better Teams, the podcast for leaders who want to improve collaboration, strengthen communication, and create real alignment inside their teams. Here we explore team building strategies, leadership development, and hands-on approaches like Lego Serious Play that help teams think, build, and solve problems together. Let's get started so you can lead more effective, aligned, and engaged organizations. Welcome back to Build Better Teams. I am your host, strategic leadership and team building facilitator, Shannon Russell. This episode is all about team management and why managing your team just isn't enough, and how great leaders can build high-performing teams. We're going to get into all of it. But first, let's start here. If I asked you whether you're managing your team or leading your team, what would your answer be? Are you managing or are you leading? Would your answer be different? It's an interesting question I often pose to my clients when we are talking about strategic planning or just what is going on within their organization that is leading them to feel like there's a lack of communication or there's just something off that they want to fix. And trust me, I am not pointing fingers at you. I'm not saying it has to do with your management skills or your leadership ability. I'm just saying that it's an interesting question because management and leadership often get lumped together, but they are not the same thing. Managers oversee the daily work that's being done, where leaders build people on your team. And organizations that have both tend to outperform those that only focus on getting their work done. On this episode, we are going to talk about what separates average teams from high-performing teams and why team management alone just isn't enough. And I challenge you to look inside, to do some reflection on the kind of leader or manager or executive that you are. Let's talk about today's workplace because the world of work has changed. We all know that. We know that some employees are remote, some are hybrid, some are in the office every day. And there are different generations working together. Reports show 5 generations are now working together on teams, and that's quite incredible. But let's also take into account artificial intelligence because that is changing how we work. Employees now expect more flexibility when it comes to work. And our communication within our teams happens more on emails or Zoom, Slack, or other apps. All of this before lunch. There is less and less human interaction and face-to-face conversations and really getting to know your coworker like we had years ago. That water cooler talk has really diminished. Leading people today is very different than it was even 10 years ago, which means our leadership style must evolve as well. Let's talk about team members and the idea that your people don't just leave their project, right? You probably heard that phrase, people don't leave companies, people leave managers. People leave when they don't feel connected, when they don't feel heard, when they stop seeing growth, and they don't feel truly connected, valued, and even really just a part of a team. They may not feel like they bring anything to the table that is truly appreciated. And for that sense, they feel like if they were to leave, no one would care. Now, this is not a management issue. It's truly a leadership issue. Managers can manage the people, the projects, but a leader leads to make sure that each person on the team feels that value. They feel appreciated. They feel necessary. They feel important. And they are leading these people to grow. The more you can do that, the less turnover you will have on your team. For me, after facilitating hundreds of workshops with organizations across different industries, I have noticed the strongest teams almost always have 5 things in common. These high-performing teams all align with, number 1, clear direction. Everyone understands what they're doing, not just leadership, but everyone. There's that clear direction, there's that clear communication, and people know what their role is and how their role contributes to the bigger picture of the team, the company, the projects you're working on. People know that they are an integral piece of this machine. And this is a strategic planning must. It's not just for executives, it really is for any leader, whether you're overseeing 2 people or 122 people. You need to know how your team is moving forward. Do they understand the importance of the project you're working on? Do they understand how their individual roles, their tasks each and every day are working towards that overall goal? As a leader, you should be strategically planning how your team moves forward. And when teams understand this strategy, then they can make better day to day decisions and they feel like they are truly participating and bringing their talents and experiences and skills to the table. Clear direction leads you to my number 2 point, which is open communication. High performing teams not only have clear direction, they have open communication. And that means they don't avoid difficult conversations. A leader, a manager, you have a team, you are respectful, and you honestly ask for feedback. And frequently you ask. You have conversations, you make sure that everyone comes together. This communication helps you with having that clear direction. Everyone's on the same page. Whatever you do, don't avoid those difficult conversations. Have them and face them head on. Now, one thing I love about my work using the Lego Serious Play method is that it gives everyone a voice. Instead of 1 or 2 people dominating the conversation, everyone builds, everyone answers a question, everyone shares, and everyone contributes. That is a skill that every leader should bring to a regular Monday morning meeting or a leadership retreat or a company-wide offsite. Any type of get together you have, whether it's on Zoom or in person, let everyone have a voice. This creates a much richer discussion than simply asking, all right, who has any thoughts? Who wants to add? Who wants to contribute? Because there's always going to be those people who speak up, and there's always going to be those people who stay quiet and just want to get back to their desk. The number 3 thing I have noticed that high performing teams have is psychological safety. I talk about that a lot here on the podcast, and I have a couple of episodes dedicated to what this is and how you can create it. But my point in listing this here is that teams that perform well feel safe together. So if you know that your employees might disagree or they might differ on certain things, can they talk about it? Do they feel safe enough to suggest their thoughts and ideas? Do they feel like they can admit when they're wrong? Do your employees ask questions? Do they share ideas even if it might not be the right one? Innovation doesn't happen without this safety in the workplace because people have to feel safe before they can be creative. Once they feel safe, they feel open to really thinking outside of the box, being innovative, and wanting to share unique ideas because those ideas are going to lead you to bigger ideas and more success for your team. So make sure you're always thinking about the psychological safety of your team. Number 4, shared experiences. And this is why I believe team building workshops are so important. Not because they're fun, although they always should be, but really because they create shared experiences, and shared experiences build trust. Trust isn't built through PowerPoint presentations, it's built through solving problems together. Now, I wanted to share a quick story is that recently I got a message on LinkedIn from an old coworker. I'm talking 20 plus years ago. And he was like, hey, would you want to hop on a Zoom? Let's have a call. And we were close back in the day. We worked in television together. We had a really great working relationship, a friendship, but we just lost touch, changing industries and all of that. But we had over an hour long Zoom call catching up. And instantly, that shared experience allowed us to pick up where we left off and explain things that were happening in each of our businesses today and feel comfortable sharing highs and lows and really being honest about our lives now, all these years later. And that is all because of the shared experience that we had from so long ago. That connected us and it made us feel safe with each other, even though we were reintroducing aspects of ourselves to each other. So these shared experiences that you can create right now very easily within your team will be experiences that will bleed over into other areas of your work, your company, your team, your projects for years to come. And your employees will thank you for establishing this. I believe it's truly when you can build through problem solving together and you can laugh together and you can create together. That's where that experimental learning works really well. And then again, it comes back to that shared experience that not only will people remember, hopefully it's a memorable experience you're creating, a memorable workshop, whatever it is, but they'll be able to use that in different aspects of their work in the future. Okay, so my number 5 tip that I see all high-performing teams that I've worked with have is accountability. Now, high-performing teams don't need that constant micromanagement because everyone understands their goal, their role, the direction they're taking. They know that there's open communication, they feel safe, they've had these experiences together, and they want to be accountable for each other. If everyone can feel responsible for helping the team as a whole succeed, and notice I didn't say everyone is responsible for everything, everyone's responsible for their individual role and what they do and how their work connects to their coworkers' work and to the whole of the team. That accountability makes for that prideful feeling of knowing that the work I'm doing is impacting the overall team. And that's accountability. It's that clear ownership that creates that healthy accountability. And I've mentioned this on the podcasts a few times before too, is that oftentimes we have these meetings for meetings, and then everyone leaves and no one knows who's responsible for what. It's really paying attention and making sure that you create that accountability and that everyone knows, okay, after this meeting, this is what I'm in charge of. This is what this person is in charge of. And you can feel like you have ownership of that task, that role, and that that is going to contribute to the health of the team. So those are the 5 things that you can do today, or the 5 things you can check off your list to make sure that you are implementing within your team. I'd love to touch on the team building aspect of it because sometimes leaders think team building and creating this takes a lot of work, or that it's something, oh, I'll just do it once a year and everything will be great. Or I'll set up that happy hour, rent out space for a ropes course, or I'll bring in a speaker to kind of motivate us. Those activities can absolutely work and strengthen relationships, etc. But the best team building experiences actually improve how people work together after the event. I believe that events that are memorable, that are hands on experiences, are truly what's going to last the long term. And that's why I design workshops around communication, around that strategic planning, around really developing leadership within your team and creating innovation and collaboration and really engaging and yes, fun, definitely. But it's not just a fun day together. It really does have to be something that they're solving a real workplace challenge together. They're coming up with a plan together. And maybe it's in a fun way. I use Lego bricks, but maybe you're using paint or you're using Post-its, but you're coming together to put out a prompt of whatever that problem might be or that issue or this challenge and trying to create real solutions together. And that's where that lasting change will happen. Now, one of my favorite moments during a recent workshop happened when someone looked around the room and said, I've worked with these people for 5 years and I never knew this about you. That is always the coolest because you're working and you're very surface level. You are answering the question, you're replying to the email. But what about that person outside of work? In this instance, I'm talking about wasn't because someone gave a speech. This person revealed a little bit about themselves because they were building. They were building a model with Lego bricks and sharing a story. And then people were asking questions and genuinely listening. And that was team building. It was that safe space for everyone to get creative, to do something different. And together, they really started creating an environment where people got to see each other differently. And a lot of things in the workplace can change when you start to look at someone as not just Peter down the hall, but Peter, the father who coaches softball on the weekends for his daughter. right? There's just different aspects of all of us. And it's always fun when you can bring that out during workshops because you might be able to see that person and appreciate them in a different way, in a new light. One thing you can do, one challenge for the week is to, instead of asking your team, okay, what are you working on? Ask them, what's one thing about your work that people on this team don't know? Or something else kind of fun, like, what's a skill you have that we don't get to use very often here? You might actually uncover hidden talents, new ideas, future leaders, who knows? But because great leadership starts with curiosity and that open communication, why not start your next meeting, your next get together, whatever it is, by asking something a little deeper that will make everyone smile, not make everyone uncomfortable, just something that is getting them to talk about work in a slightly different way. You might be surprised at what you learn and what your team walks away with. As I wrap this up, I want to remind you that at the end of the day, your leadership isn't about managing. You're not there to just manage individual tasks. You are in your role because you can create an environment where people can do their job and work together the best. That's where communication matters. That's where your strategic planning matters. That's where these team building workshops that you can bring to your organization matter. And this is why employee engagement isn't something that just HR owns. It's something very, very different that you can foster and control yourself as the leader. What we've talked about here on this episode are things that every leader can create through the culture that they are building every day. And if you can create a team where people really feel heard and trusted and connected with each other, you will have something that every organization wants. And that is a high performing team, whatever that means to you. Okay, my friend, thank you for listening to the Build Better Teams podcast. If you are looking for hands on team building workshops, strategic planning sessions, or leadership retreats that get every voice in the room involved, I would love to help you. Click on the link in the show notes below or visit my website at buildbetterteamsconsulting.com. Learn about LEGO Serious Play and let's create an amazing hands on workshop for your team. Until next time, remember, the best teams aren't built by chance. They're built intentionally, one conversation, one experience, and one shared goal at a time. I'm Shannon Russell, and I will chat with you on the next episode of the Build Better Teams podcast. Make it a great day.